Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, two best moderators in all of YouTube. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat, thank you for your support. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And it gives me, it's just wonderful to have so many viewers who support my work and my voice. And I thank you very much. So, to my super chat, thank you. We have a lot to talk about, and this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when Democrats, you know the expression, be careful what you wish for? Democrats have been governing the country for 1 month. It's been exactly 1 month that President Biden has been in the White House. The left, okay, let's look at they were obsessed. Their life's mission, every single day they woke up. You're talking about millions of wonderful, morally superior, absolutely just the best people on the planet, morally superior liberal Democrats. Every day they woke up, they said, "Oh, orange monster. Every bad thing that happens in the country or in the known universe is his fault. He's a reincarnation of every despot, every monster, every totalitarian, every tyrant that's ever existed on this planet." What has Biden done to make the lives of people better? Okay, we'll start off with New York's governor, who is under federal investigation. Now, this is interesting. You have New York's governor under federal investigation. You have Caligula, Biden's son, under federal investigation. You couldn't talk about these things a couple of months ago. Now you can just talk about them. Media barely mentions them. Barely, It's kind of important, not really. And thank you, Deplorable Brian. Thank you, everybody. G-Man, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Claudia, hello. Eric and Luke, thank you. Jesse, hello. The Democratic Spiders, yes. Deplorable Brian, hello. CJ Matt. Casas Gonzalez, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, little brother, hello. You have New York's governor, who just lied through his teeth the other day, that the numbers and there was a void. This is what he was saying. So he's under tremendous scrutiny on a state and federal level because of his decision-making pertaining to elderly citizens who lost their lives. And he said there was a void in data. So there was an information void, and then he goes, what happens if there's a void? Bad things fill up the void, and America isn't great, was never great. This is what he was saying, the wonderful Cuomo. And he was blaming Trump's Justice Department. He was blaming Trump's Justice Department for going after Democratic governors. I don't think it must not have been political. Only Democratic governors were asked to provide information. That's because Democratic-run states presided over the worst outcomes, both in terms of the economic outcomes and in terms of the pandemic. We can go look right now, just really quickly, and this is one of the things that I bring to the table. Not a lot of people are talking about, and everyone should be talking about. But not a lot of people are talking about the unemployment rates of Democratic-run states. So we're going to get to We're going to get to the Lincoln Project. We're going to get to Ted Cruz if you think about it in terms of long-term strategy, Ted Cruz, yeah, he stuck up for President Trump, kind of, but, him going to Cancun was the absolute worst thing. I have a friend that sends me emails, look at what the Republicans, these are the people you support. I'm like, I don't support Ted Cruz. I don't really just because he's a Republican doesn't mean he was a never Trumper not long ago. If anything, I think that people like Devin Nunes, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Ron DeSantis, Doug Collins, those are politicians that Richard Grinnell, those are politicians who need to take over the Republican Party, definitely. But you look at the unemployment rate and check out, and it's below I'm putting all the unemployment rate statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics in each of my segments. So you can go ahead and look. Nebraska has 3% unemployment. South Dakota has 3% unemployment. Iowa, 3.1% unemployment. Utah, 3.6%. Kansas, 3.8%. Alabama, 3.9%. North Dakota, 4.1%. Arkansas, 4.2%. Indiana, 4.3%. Idaho, 4.4%. Montana, 4.4%. South Carolina, 4.6%. Wyoming, 4.8%. They have the lowest unemployment rate of any states. The lowest unemployment rate. Do you want to know the states that have the highest unemployment rates? So I just read you the red states. Republican-run states have the lowest unemployment rates. The pandemic did not demand that you absolutely tank your economies. So when they blame President Trump, that was something that didn't have to happen. Look at the highest unemployment rate, 9.3% in Hawaii, 9.2% in Nevada, 9% in California, Colorado, 8.2%, New York. So New York's governor presided over the highest, the greatest number of aggregate lives lost, unfortunately, and God bless the people of New York and New Jersey. New York has the greatest number of lives lost because of the pandemic and one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. How on earth is that Trump's fault? How on earth is that Trump's fault? They were completely blindsided, and it wasn't just the governor. It was Schumer, Gillibrand, de Blasio, and the New York Times does what? You would think that the New York Times would be focused on what's happening in New York, not just around the country. You would think that. I know that's a really, outlandish thing to think that the New York Times would actually care about what's going on in New York. The New York Post does, New York Daily News more so, but the New York Times just is basically an extension of the Democratic Party, just like the Washington Post. So they're not going to ask simple questions like, hey, wait a second, why are Democratic-run states, Hawaii, Nevada, California, Colorado, New York, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Connecticut, District of Columbia, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the top 11 states, and then you add in D.C., so 12 Democratic strongholds, including Massachusetts, which isn't far off. So 13 of the top 14. Arizona is up there. Well, Arizona now has Democrats running it, but you now have the top state, the highest unemployment rates, the top 12 highest unemployment rates are all Democratic-run blue states. How on earth is that Trump's fault? And that was the case throughout the past 5, 6, 7, 8 months. How on earth is that Trump's fault? That's not Trump's fault. I mean, it's like it's like aggregate numbers they don't look at. They slice and dice numbers. They talk about they have to slice and dice statistics. And if you look at the aggregate numbers, if you look at a bird's eye view of everything, the worst run states are run by Democratic politicians. It's not hyperbole. Go look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Go look at the New York Times. The Yahtzee! What the heck is happening with this world, HA? The Yahtzee! Hello! Well, it's, today was a good day, HA. Michael Lee, hello! HA didn't have to use... Michael, hello! The Yahtzee. Thank you so very much. Well, let's see. What can I tell you? The Yahtzee. What's going on in Texas is horrendous. But now you have the Democratic president that they wanted. Mark, I'll do a turtle in a little bit. I'm talking about the unemployment rates for the Democratic run states. Oh, they've been writing that there's a Republican Civil War. I don't think there's much of a conflict. I'm just pretending to control the Republican Party until Trumpy comes out of his hiding. Donald Trump to address CPAC on future of Republican parties 3 hours ago. So I'll do an upload in a couple of hours on this. All President Trump needed, and God bless him, all he needed, ladies and gentlemen, was to allow Democrats to just govern. And we see what's going on now. Lincoln Project imploded. Now, we are seeing all of this, and I'm telling you, the best thing that ever happened to President Trump was him being banned from Twitter. So the Yahtzee, the best thing that ever happened to President Trump was him being banned from Twitter, because now they have no scapegoat. He's twice acquitted. They went after him. I mean, there shouldn't have been protests that day because there needed to be a national dialogue, discourse, discussion, debate. President Trump should have fostered that, but you can't do that on Twitter. You can't do that. Now they're going after his hotel employees. Trump hotel employees said they had to pretend to support the president. How is this even a story? Like, why are they working at the hotel if they just can't stand? Oh, inside I was losing my life. That's what one of the quotes is. My God. The hotel staff, they said they would face harassment from anti-Trump activists. The Democratic Party has no ideas. They have no ideas. They have no policies that galvanize support. It's just contempt for Trump. What is it that you dislike about him so much? Oh, he caused this. And like in May of 2018, he ended a very horrendous practice with the separation. That was bad. He ended that. No, it's like May of 2017, something like that. No, May of 2018. Or June of 2018. He had already ended that practice. Let's see. June of 2018. And the policies that AOC was, staring into a part of the photo that wasn't photographed for some reason. Everything's still going on. Nothing has changed. Like all of the wonderful liberal Democrats that never cared about any of these things prior to President Trump, now they don't care again. Now they only cared when Trump was in office because they lived their lives to be morally superior. That's it. And Trump's cruelty is so cruel. Oh, well, the same things are taking place now. So like literally the same exact things that have taken place since June 2018. And if you want to talk about a Senate report during President Obama's administration, you can. the Yahtzee. I can't even talk about the Senate report because it's like so horrendous. The things that took place in President Obama's administration were so horrendous. Worse than anything that took place in Trump's administration. Worse. You can't even talk about it because of the guidelines and policies. But see, again, like, they're so interested in the battle of information. It's not, what they really care about is suppressing emotion and sentiment. Okay? If they don't have contempt for Trump, they have nothing. Like, if they don't have actual contempt, if they don't have contempt for President Trump, like all those people who really cared about politics, their lives aren't better because Biden is there. What's changed for them? Nothing. Aside from media and a temper tantrum. I mean, you saw it was like clockwork. It was like almost like the second President Trump left office and the second Biden took control of the White House, you had media just suddenly, like, all the anger and vitriol, all of that ended. It's pretty unbelievable. All of that ended. Like, suddenly you had journalists that were really quiet and demure and docile, and they were just so respectful. Like, they were just so respectful. And you just had this complete sea change in the way media conducted itself. Like, where are these apoplectic journalists? Hold that thought. I'm going to get a bottle of water. Stay there. Stay right there. All right. Sorry about that. I was like, should I get up and get a bottle of water? Sorry. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. You look and and now I'm like, there's a delay, so now I'm like looking at myself. You look, ladies and gentlemen, and let's just run down all the things that President Trump is presiding over right now. The Lincoln Project is done. So, the Lincoln Project has completely imploded. Lincoln Project finally gets exposed. Vanity Fair, Lincoln Project implosion has derailed its founders' plan for a media empire. Yeah, right. They were never going to have a media empire. Never. That was never going to happen. They were there only because they were there only to be utilized by Democrats as the good Republicans who opposed President Trump. The problem is that like 90% of the Republican Party likes Trump's policies, even if many people don't really appreciate his personality. Now you have all of... Where's Nemo? Now you have all of this contempt for the Lincoln Project. See, like, the Democrats never really cared for the Lincoln Project people. They never really cared for the Lincoln Project people. They never really looked at the Bush-era Republicans as wonderful, great human beings. They only gained in stature because they opposed President Trump. That's it. And they have this bizarre, people who don't like Trump have this bizarre mindset that if you oppose Trump, suddenly you're putting country over party. It's like nobody even votes for President Trump generally because he's a Republican. That's not his selling point. His selling point is that he excuse me. His selling point is that he upends. He's not business as usual. He's completely an outsider in terms of politics. You could say, well, he's a billionaire. He's not an outsider. Well, yeah, he's been part of the political system, but he's not a politician. He's not a DC insider. He's not part of their club. So the Lincoln Project imploded, accused of horrendous criminal activity. Then you have Cuomo and the New York governor that Democrats they've had enough of. I don't think is going to get away with his horrendous decision making, especially since his excuses are so outlandish and absurd. Wickster, hello. The secret spaceship, hello. So you have the Lincoln Project imploding, New York's governor being investigated. You have Caligula Biden's son still being investigated. You have the Durham Probe Special Counsel that's still investigating Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, and all of them. So it's a special counsel. You have a deputy press secretary that was forced to resign, which would have been, they would still be talking about this now. They would still be talking about the deputy press secretary if it was President Trump's administration. They would still be talking about it. It's pretty unbelievable. They'd still be talking about it. And that's like, okay, Lincoln Project, New York governor, you can look at the deputy press secretary resigning for going after a political reporter with the most horrendous statement. Then you have his poll numbers still. He surpassed Reagan. He's above George Washington as one of the best presidents we've had among all Americans. There are Republicans in a Economist YouGov survey, and then there were just all respondents. And in all the respondents, they put him third. It was President Obama, and I forgot who was second, and then it was Trump. And then among Republicans, he's by far the best president of all time. He's the best president of my lifetime. He's a million times better than President Obama. Just ask the people of Libya. Like, if you want to blame President Obama for things that took place under his presidency, Flint, the NATO intervention in Libya, I mean, all the horrendous atrocities that took place throughout the world that let's just put it this way. His administration funded rebels. We can go through the map. Okay? Clinton wanted a no-fly zone above Damascus, which was probably the worst idea of all time. So President Trump saved us from a Clinton presidency, which he should win the Nobel Peace Prize for. And he presided over the beginning of peace between North and South Korea. That's a fact. Can't deny that. You can't say that it was a photo op because President Moon Jae-in of South Korea stated he deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, and he wants Biden's administration to continue Trump's legacy. Same with Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. They want Biden to continue what Trump started with the Abraham Accords. So, I mean, you have all of this. You have a Lincoln Project co-founders like resigning, like abandoning ship. He was acquitted. That's the second acquittal. Cuomo's on the ropes in New York. The New Yorkers are going after him. They're done with him. And this, I mean, I'm telling you, like, this was able to take place because, in part, I mean, it would have happened anyway, but it's much better now that President Trump is not on Twitter. It is a million times better. It really is a million times better, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very passionate about this, and I get I get emails, I get comments in the comment section sometimes, and they're like, "Well, you weren't president. What did you ever do?" I'm like, that usually, like, it's like 1 out of like 120 comments. He has the right to express himself. And then, like, I get, decent, rational comments. Hey, I liked his personality. That's fine. Look, it was a catharsis, ladies and gentlemen, when he was going after the Yahtzee. So we knew the Dems admin would be a mess. We're waiting for 2024. 2022 also, Yahtzee. 2022 also. By that time, we'll be in the 100th wave of the Yahtzee. The Yahtzee. You know that song? I think it was by the Go-Go's. My lips are sealed. My lips are sealed. Too cool not to. Thank you. Who sang that song? Our lips are sealed. Was it Our Lips Are Sealed or My Lips Are Sealed? Oh, Our Lips Are Sealed. The Go-Go's. Yeah, unfortunately, the Yahtzee, My Lips Are Sealed. Look, the Yahtzee, thank you. It has the issue is the Yahtzee, thank you. The issue is the following, okay? The issue is, what is going on? Thank you, EricH526. The issue is the fact that Republicans they don't have a unified voice. You have never-Trumpers who are just fine with, investigating the president for everything. And then you have, like, what happened with Twitter was the following, the Yahtzee. And this is the big issue. There's not an information battle in the country. There's not an information battle. There's a battle to suppress emotion and to fabricate sentiment and emotion. Generally, Republicans or never-Trump Republicans don't care about what others think of them, or like they revolve around policies, populist policies, whether it's tariffs or bringing home Americans or, going after corrupt intelligence officials. These are policies, or presiding over peace deals like the Abraham Accords, policies. Or a certain ideology that opposes never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, which is what the Lincoln Project stood for. So before they were caught doing the most despicable, allegedly committing the most despicable deeds, dirty deeds, they helped push the country into an era of never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. These are fantastic people, the moral foundation, the good Republicans. Oh, gone are the days when Mittens would put his dog on top of his car. What kind of person puts their dog on top of their car for like 10 hours? Mittens. Mittens does this. He's the good Republican. Trump was like the embodiment of everything. This is the thing. His tweets got them to the point of madness. and beyond in some cases. It wasn't good because it galvanized opposition towards him. The Yahtzee, thank you. Nat! Rummagiopedia. Nat, hey, HA, keep spreading the truth. Nat, thank you so very, very much. Nat, thank you. Thank you very, very much. The Yahtzee. Nat, thank you. When you get this, Nat and the Yahtzee and everybody here, you get this like, you get these articles like, oh my goodness, don't go down the rabbit hole. You know, there's so much misinformation. You have to be careful. Be careful. You don't want to fall into a trap of misinformation. Always check Snopes. Always check factcheck.org. It's like, you can look and read the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN. You can just read the New York. I am telling people, read the New York Times, read the Washington Post, read CNN, read Vanity Fair, read Esquire, read the Daily Beast, read all the publications that prop up the Democratic Party, that see life through the vantage point of Nancy Pelosi. Read them. You will find enough evidence and enough data and information in those publications to support your vote for President Trump. You will have enough. Like, this is what I don't think Democrats are, like, a great many people on the left don't understand this. They don't get this. They think that, for example, a Washington Post headline, like, a couple years back, DNC and Clinton camp paid for Steele dossier. Just, hush hush. That's just a headline. Just a headline. Just a tiny headline in the Washington Post. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal at all. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. That alone should serve as the foundation to distrust any special counsel that emanates from an investigation propped up by opposition research from your direct political rival. Then they say, well, Republicans first used Fusion GPS. Like, so what? There are never Trumpers. So, like, what does that even mean? And number one. Number two, Fusion GPS was never used. Christopher Steele was never used by any conservative publication or the GOP. But when CNN or MSNBC or the Washington Post or the New York Times, you can read them, and they say, well, the Steele dossier was compiled by help from a Russian intelligence official. Yeah, okay, there you go. That's evidence right there. That's evidence right there, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. Like, that should tell you that they're the ones who utilized dirt. They dug up dirt on their direct political rivals. I mean, there's so many examples. You could look at all the times they wrote stories that weren't accurate. You could look at the manner in which they report on Trump with sources, officials close to the matter, sources say, officials close to the matter, former and current U.S. officials. Hello, Wilkes, hello. You could look and Wilkes, there is the Clinton email workout. You could look that up on online, my Clinton email workout. But you can look at, like, when they talk about Dianne Feinstein's stock trades, or Richard Burr's stock trades, or the fact Eric Swalwell fell in love with a foreign intelligence operative. You can look at how they report on these things. You can actually see through their reporting that they try to sensationalize the most trivial stories about Trump and try to mitigate and sweep under the rug like real grandiose stories that are directly linked to national security issues when they pertain to Democratic Party controversies. They want to control sentiment and emotion. Suspicion is a sentiment that they cannot allow Republicans or independent voters or even the far left to have. You cannot be suspicious of the Democratic Party. You can't be suspicious of a Democratic representative who falls in love with an intelligence operative, or a Secretary of State who uses private servers and has top secret intelligence on the private servers, or a president who says, gosh, I didn't know, I learned from CNN. You cannot be suspicious of Democrats. You can't distrust them. You know, the suspicion is just one way, leveled at Trump. He's capable of anything. The man is capable of anything, according to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC. So, you gotta, when I told people a long time ago, about over 2 years ago, I said, the LMNOPQ nonsense message boards are a dangerous hoax, and some people, although the vast majority of my viewers don't listen to that and have never listened to that, some people are like, HA, you're a good person. Don't. I'll just pretend you didn't say anything bad about that message board. And I'm like, that's a message board. Notice how Democrats don't want to find out who's perpetuating the nonsense and the absurd fantasy hoax, tinfoil hat, madness. Notice how they don't want to find out who runs that message board. They just want to talk about it. They want to talk about and disparage 74 million Americans, but they don't want to investigate, who is behind it? Because A, either they're behind it, or B, they're just so happy that it's the worst thing that could ever have taken place for any political party. But if you believed in that nonsense, that Jeff Sessions was a good person, trust Sessions, I know where we're going, Patriots, yes, I'm going to go where you go, we're going to go together. No, I'm going to go to the cleaners, I don't know who you are, I'm not going to go with you anywhere. But my point is, if you believe in things that aren't true, it hurts you. But Democrats are not worried about people believing things that aren't true. They're worried about people putting two and two together and saying, okay, maybe we shouldn't trust this politician. Maybe we shouldn't trust this Democratic politician. Maybe we couldn't trust, maybe we can't trust the prevailing story that Caligula, just didn't enrich himself because of his father's name. I mean, look at the manner. You could look at the New York Post too. That's a great publication. It's so awesome and amazing that Twitter basically suspended it for actually reporting news. The news that it reported was so horrendous. The news it reported are so horrendous that they were suspended. New York GOP to start impeachment process against, that would be fantastic. But that's like when you see these caution, disinformation, on Twitter. They're not worried about information that harms President Trump. They're not worried about a Steele dossier that's complete nonsense, that was completely made up. They're worried about the actual emails of Biden's son. That's like, oh my God. That would be horrendous if the country read those emails. Could you imagine if the New York Times reached out to Biden's family, his uncle, his brother? Could you imagine if they reached out and said, we want to find out, is this true? What's going on here? Chad Davis! Oklahoma loves HA. Iraq, Afghanistan vets love HA. Chad, I love Iraq and Afghanistan vets. Thank you so much, Chad. Thank you very, very much for always watching. J-Hold, hello. Chad, thank you so very much. As always, it is a pleasure to have you on this stream, and it's really fun to do these again. You know what? I'm going to start like I did today. I'm going to start earlier. I think I can get more people on the stream earlier. And so, yeah. Chad, thank you. I hope all is well. Hope you're doing well. Chad Davis, thank you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you again. You look at what's taking place with President Trump. Like, Twitter was the worst place for Trump because it overshadowed his accomplishments. We had record low unemployment throughout most of Trump's tenure. We had peace deals that no other president got even close to achieving. He was actually doing quite well in terms of tariffs, renegotiating trade deals, renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA. He accomplished a great deal. But his personality, see, this is one critique I have of President Trump. If the game of politics and the office of the presidency, even if they were after him, even if they were unfair to him, even if they set him up, one of the job requirements is to just chill at least the last couple years of your presidency. When I mean chill, I mean take your foot off the gas pedal. You know, don't take a bat to the hornet's nest all the time and just bash it and run and get these buzzing, apoplectic liberals hysterical. He shouldn't have insulted LeBron James. He shouldn't have insulted NFL athletes because it did not do the country any good. And it did him no good politically either. And it alienated people who would have been open to, okay, here's a president who allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Here's a president who signed prison reform legislation. Here's a president who focused on wealth within communities of color. Wealth generation. Generating wealth with business opportunity zones. And they say, well, it didn't work. Well, at least he tried. Democrats have been presiding over areas of the country that have been impoverished for decades. They don't even care. Democrats view poverty as, oh, well, you know what? Gosh, you need more government, so they're not worried. Why is it that you have Democratic areas of the country that have been impoverished for decades? They, 20 years ago, didn't want to maybe change things? And so President Trump focused on wealth. But see, that was overshadowed by his tweets. And with Twitter, they were able to just level these absurd allegations against Trump. He's the reincarnation of every totalitarian. And the Lincoln Project was retweeted. I was going to say retweeted. Retweeted. And they served as the moral foundation. I mean, you gotta, things must be completely completely topsy-turvy. You must be in Alice in Wonderland if the Lincoln Project is your moral foundation against Trump, or if you utilize the Lincoln Project as a way to go after President Trump. I was telling people for years I would never vote alongside the Lincoln Project. I was telling people for years this. And all I want, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, all I want President Trump to do is just learn from his mistakes and build upon his accomplishments. They don't, like, you have people who have abandoned friendships because they have a deficiency within them. You lack character and integrity if you abandon a friendship or a family bond because of politics. I don't care what it is. It's like, Trump, it wasn't that serious. Oh, well, he said it was a hoax. No, he didn't. He said they're fine people. No, he didn't. Everything they attribute to him. He said Clorox. He said drink Clorox. No, he didn't. He didn't. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Well, where's the quote? That's not what he said. It was not what he said, but it's what he meant. See, again, they've lost it. And with his tweets, he lost track of, maybe Twitter helped him become president, but Twitter helped his presidency end. And you watch, I can imagine them, people. I can imagine them saying, you know what? Trump can go back on Twitter. Trump can go back on Twitter. Could you imagine how detrimental that would be? Like, all the momentum now is, sometimes this is the thing. If you're playing a football team, that's known for the run but really can't pass, and all they're doing is passing, don't tell them, hey, you should probably run the ball against us. That'll be better for you. And like with Trump, he's not on Twitter. He doesn't need to. He's not allowing them to deflect from their failures. So it's like he's just allowing them to kind of, sow their own political demise. I think that, he's more dignified now. There's more of the fact that he's not a daily presence. See, I was thinking about it. President Trump probably didn't realize, in his mind, ladies and gentlemen, what he said is, hey, most of the time, which is true, most of the time he wasn't going after people. Most of the time, he was just being himself and saying, hey, we've got a great economy. Hey, we did this. Hey, I visited soldiers. Hey, tariffs are working. Hey, this is doing well. And then sometimes he would kind of add something to where they would really, media would really implode with indignation. But the fact that he was there galvanized his opposition, gave life. That was their, the air they utilized to just gain steam, and the air that they breathed. It was, they derived sustenance from Trump's tweets. They don't have policies. Okay, the Democratic Party is like a complete failure to, Biden's administration has not done anything that he has not done anything the left wants. I mean, it's the truth. They haven't really done what, Medicare for all. That's not going to happen. Stimulus checks. That's not going to happen the way they want it. What they want, federal minimum wage. That's not going to happen in the manner they want. Nothing. Nothing's going to happen. It's the student loan. It's not going to happen in the manner the left wants. So, Tomes 23, thank you. So they say, the Democrats say, well, it's incremental change. But to the left, there's no such thing as incremental change, because everything is absolute. Everything is, lives are being lost because there's no Medicare for all. Because there's no Medicare for all. So you can't negotiate with a person who, on the far left, who believes that their vantage point is linked to saving lives, directly to saving lives. There's no incremental change there. They want what they've been asking for. And Democrats have told them, hey, you're going to get this eventually. Just vote Democrat. You'll eventually get this. You'll eventually get this. Vote Democrat. Vote Democrat. That's never going to happen. The left needs to start the help start a Green Party or a People's Party or whatever. Or build up a People's Party. To utilize as leverage, which is what President Trump could do in a heartbeat. President Trump, if he started a political party, would end the Republican Party. Would completely annihilate the current Republican Party. So, but you look now, the past month has been pretty bad for the Democrats. Pretty bad. And it's like, you don't really see it in media. That's why, watch this channel. And I tell you, I read from the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post. That's why my channel's in good standing. And, other reasons. But you don't need anything. You don't need to, message boards are the worst thing you can look at. But you could just look at the public record, journalism from the same activists that just wanted Trump out of office. This has been a terrible week for the Lincoln Project, for Biden's press secretary, and especially the deputy press secretary who resigned. President Trump was acquitted. New York's governor is being impeached. California's governor might be recalled. And New York's governor is being investigated by the FBI. His son Caligula. Biden is still under federal federal investigation. So it's like that's not very good. None of this is good. Thomas O'Connor, have a great night. H.A. Trump should take Russia's show for a couple of months. I agree with you. That would be fantastic. President Trump's probably tired now. Thomas O'Connor, thank you. Thomas O'Connor, thank you so very, very much. Thomas O'Connor, great night. H.A. Trump should take Russia's. I agree with you. President Trump should take. He should do something where he can show his humanity. Like radio, this is kind of like radio, like a live stream. It's just me. There's no any technology here, any graphics. Just me and some paintings. Before it was just me and some posters. This is kind of like radio, and it's a conversation I'm having with everybody here, all 400 people, 400 or 500 people. But President Trump should do more to show that he's a human being who has accomplished a great deal. Thomas O'Connor, thank you. Alita Lenore. Alita, I love you. I apologize, but one of the ways that I've managed to survive is by just being overly cautious. So Alita, I have to delete that message. But see, first of all, thank you. Thank you very much. Secondly, I agree there should have been a debate, discussion, discourse. There should have been a way to communicate. Alita, thank you. And I do apologize. I got to delete the message. Because there are haters everywhere at all times. Alita and everybody here, every word that I say when I'm on YouTube, generally, I'll eventually or maybe misspoke or make mistakes, but I realize that every word, every message, every comment, every super chat message can be utilized by people who just have contempt for me. or you, or anyone here, or President Trump, or Bernie Sanders, which is hilarious because I'm not even a Bernie Sanders supporter. I used to be, and now I support President Trump. And I apologize, but on that topic, Alita, and great, hey, love Marilyn Monroe. Love that photo. Alita, thank you so very much. Thank you. There needs to now be, look, if you showed people that President Trump accomplished a great deal, and you forced people, thank you, Mark, thank you. David, God bless you both, thank you. If you showed people, Alita, his accomplishments, and if President Trump were to foster discussion, debate, discourse throughout the country, found a way to do so, and in 2022 you have Trump Republicans like Devin Nunes taking over the House, I mean, it's game over. Kevin McCarthy's good. I'd rather have Devin Nunes as Speaker of the House. I really would. Or Jim Jordan. Could you imagine Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House? The secret spaceship. Thank you, Alita. Thank you, Thomas O'Connor. Thank you. The secret spaceship. Thanks, XJ. Because of journalists like you, there's hope for America. Thank you so very much. Secret spaceship. Very kind of you. Very kind words. Thank you so very much. I come with I think one of the things that I'm able to do is just come from the vantage point of a left-leaning individual that became a supporter of President Trump. Because I know all their skeletons. I know all their dirty laundry. I know exactly the Achilles heel. That's why, the people that I've known who like friends of mine who, not many, thank God, but certain people who gave me a really hard time, if I were to debate them in front of 100, 200, 1,000 people, I would annihilate them because they don't know any of the skeletons. They don't know any of, they stand on this soapbox, their moral high horse, and they say, Trump, this, Trump, the precedent for not only has precedent for their outrage been set by previous administrations, President Obama and Bush, the worst president of all time, but things that took place during President Obama's administration on topics they suddenly cared about were worse. And nobody said anything because many, many people on that side are complete hypocrites. And then they say, well, it's called whataboutism. It's called whataboutism. It's like, no, you should always engage in whataboutism. Whataboutism is another phrase for hypocrisy. It's called hypocrisy. You cannot simply stand on a pedestal, this soapbox, and preach and give these sermons and these moralizing tweets, and say, we're so much better. We're so much better. It's like, you're not better. You're just a different side. You're not better. You're just a different side. That's the thing that I loved before social media. Like 20 years ago, on that fateful worst day in U.S. history that I can't bring up because of the algorithm, thank God there was no social media. Thank God. Because you'd have people, like one person who was associated with the $20 million venture capital people who said something like, we deserved that. And you would have people on the left saying, you see, well, and da-da-da, and then they would be retweeted, and it would be like, oh my God, what? And we didn't have social media back then, and thank God we didn't. Life was better. Life was better before social media. Because ideas that there was something called debate, discourse, like Christopher Hitchens. I loved Christopher Hitchens. How many people here loved Christopher Hitchens? He was the best. He was like, you couldn't paint him. He was left-leaning, he had some conservative viewpoints, and he wasn't right about everything. But he was right about a lot. And he got you thinking. And he would be the antidote, the cure. Like, I wish he were alive today. He would be the medicine that we need for today's nonsense. David Andrew, wasn't he fantastic? Christopher Hitchens was fantastic because he was able to. He did not adhere to a political party, and he didn't care about an allegiance to any kind of dogma or, tribal political side. And he didn't, and the thing, and what he did, like, he was an anti-theist, he was an atheist, but he wouldn't have trusted the intelligence community. You have atheists now, leading atheists, who are like, oh yeah, Trump worked with Russia. It's like, well, have you replaced God for James Clapper? Their God is James Clapper or Comey. Well, how do you know he worked with Russia? Well, Clapper and Brennan said he did. Well, so what? Clapper and Brennan could tell you anything. It could be very likely a lie. That's not evidence. A great many, like there are like secular humanists who despise Trump and liken him to he lies so much and he worked with Russia. And where do you get this? Where do you get the evidence he worked with Russia? How do you correlate him to a despot or an authoritarian? Do despots and authoritarians sign prison reform legislation? Do they remove Americans from counterinsurgency conflicts? How does that work? Where in your mind, how does that work? Well, he lies so much. Well, I don't know. Was there a running tally of lies with President Obama or Biden? Where's the Washington Post fact check? Oh, that's right. There's no longer there. And by the way, a fact check, you cannot give 2 or 3 Pinocchios for a fact check. A fact check is just simple. Who has the most home runs in Major League Baseball history? Barry Bonds. That's it. End of story. That's it. Now you can just talk about something else. It's not what you feel. It's not, you're like, and there's an asterisk, and, and you just, discuss it. No. Well, they'll give you 3 Pinocchios and 4 Pinocchios. It's like, no, it's a fact check. And all politicians engage in hyperbole. President Trump more so than most. He's kind of, that's his personality. But that doesn't mean that he, you look at the lies that were told by previous administrations. We don't even have to get into George W. Bush. We can go from President Obama in Libya to private servers, endless. And they were much more grandiose than, they went after Trump because of a phone call with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Are you kidding me? A phone call, and then the last impeachment, he was acquitted again because he didn't tell those people to do that thing, to commit those crimes. And that was a horrendous day, but he didn't tell those people. And so there's a leap of logic. They just... Twitter, I blame Twitter. I blame Twitter. But one thing Christopher Hitchens did is that he had friends who were believers. He enjoyed discourse and debate with people who believed in God and dialogue, and he enjoyed discussion. He didn't shy away from any, it wasn't like AOC, and Ben Shapiro said, hey, let's debate Medicare for all. Could you imagine that debate? Could you imagine? It'd be like the 85 Bears versus, I don't know. But it would have helped the Medicare for All, like, it would have been good. But we see now, AOC doesn't even want to pass Medicare for All legislations. There you go. David, pretty much. Pretty much is. There should be more dialogue and debate. There should be more dialogue and debate. And like, that's something that is needed in this society. 85 Buccaneers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been over an hour. I want to thank you, everyone. Thank you to my super chat. Thank you. I'll be back in a couple of hours with an upload. The Secret Spaceship, everyone here, thank you so very, very much. Eric and Luke, thank you very, very much. People, it's been fun. Been over an hour. I just want to thank you very, very much, everybody. I will be back tomorrow, probably the same time, probably maybe around 7 p.m. or so. But check out the upload in a couple of hours, everyone. President Trump's going to speak at CPAC, and that's a very good thing. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening, have a safe evening, and a happy evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Be here in a couple of hours. Eric and Luke, thanks as always. To my super chat.